Hi there, Vanessa of Property Tribes TV, and as a professional landlord I'm always looking for new products and services that may help the tribe be more efficient, help myself be more efficient. So I'm delighted to welcome Paul Pearce from Rent on Time. So welcome Paul.
Thank you,
and Rent on Time does what it says on the tin, really, doesn't it?
It does, you're absolutely right, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the product that you have.
Okay, the product is a very simple service. It is essentially a rent collection service for landlords, but it's a rent collection service with a bit of an innovative twist in that when the tenants are paying us the actual rent, we'll pay that to the landlord obviously on the day it's due. However, we will continue to pay that rent to the landlords even if we don't receive the rent from the tenant. So there is no need for a landlord to actually make any kind of claim, telephone calls, pay any excesses, have any waiting periods. They essentially will receive their rent on time every time.
So that sounds like a rental guarantee service, but it's a bit more than that, isn't it?
It is a bit more than that, yeah. I mean, obviously there are rent guarantee insurance policies out there in the marketplace, and that's absolutely fine. As I say, you would have to make a claim on those type of policies if you are wishing to claim any potential missed rental arrears. With Rent on Time you don't have to do that. As you said at the start, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It pays your rent on time on the day you expect it. Now, if a tenant doesn't pay us the money, because they're paying it to ourselves, we still pay the landlord. However, we will then go into the debt recovery stage, and like most landlords will understand, we'll go through the usual process of phone calls and letters throughout the first month. But if it actually does get to 28 days without payment of the rent, we will instruct our legal services team. And if worse comes to the worst and it starts slipping into 2 months arrears, that's not a problem for the landlord because we'll still pay them the rent as agreed. What we will do is we'll start the Section 8 process as well, start the court proceedings, and we will continue along that manner until eviction, and if bailiffs are required then so be it. Now all that is taken care of again by Rent on Time. So that our legal expenses cover is provided within the service as well, free of charge, and that's capped at £25,000 worth of cover, but that's probably more than enough in the majority of cases. So not only are we collecting the rent and paying the rent and giving them 100% guaranteed cash flow, we're actually taking away the worry of chasing rent or the worry of potential court cases and court costs, which can accumulate to quite a large value.
Quite a significant amount, yes. So really the way I see it, it's peace of mind for landlords, particularly if you are working as a landlord on very tight cash flows and you need to know that your rent is coming in on the first of the month without fail. This service could really help you in your business in terms of managing your cash flow.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's as simple as that. It gives complete peace of mind from rental cash flow, but also peace of mind if you're not outlaying or potentially outlaying huge amounts of money in court costs. Now we offer this service for new tenancies, but also for existing tenancies. Now what you actually also receive with Rent on Time for new tenancies is we will actually do the full credit reference checks, employment checks, so that's all included. We'll provide our assured short hold tenancy agreement, which is very detailed, and we will also manage the deposit registration as well via the TDS or the deposit protection scheme. So, you know, there's actually a lot more to Rent on Time than just paying rent, collecting rent. You know, there's a lot more to it. So that's
lots
all
more benefits.
Absolutely.
So, just being devil's advocate, there's been a couple of really high-profile people that were offering guaranteed rents that have gone bankrupt and so on. I think the main concerns within the property community are that a company has enough to cash flow and bankroll the rents, and that B, that it is insurance backed. Now, Rent on Time ticks both those boxes, doesn't it?
It does. You're absolutely right. We will every single day, our system understands what rents are due in, what rents are paid out, and we'll reconcile them at the end of every day. That doesn't affect the landlord because, as you say, we are bankrolling that first month's rental payment. Now, if the worst does come to the worst, without giving too many secrets away, we're actually backed up by DAS, the insurance firm DAS or DAS. Now, worst comes to the worst and it starts leaking into 2 or 3 or 4 months arrears, it's actually the funding is then prepared in a way that we are still able to pay the guaranteed rent to the landlord, and it's as simple as that, really.
Okay, so who would you say is your ideal client? Because I could see this working as a really good option for somebody that's going abroad, they're leaving a few properties in the UK, they don't want any hassle, any grief, they want to know that money is in their bank account on the first of the month. I can see it ideal for them. I can see it ideal for somebody like myself and Nick. We have a large number of properties. It would help our cash flow if maybe 3 or 4 were on rent on time, so we knew that money was coming in on the first of the month.
Yeah.
Who else do you think is an ideal client for you?
We have such a variance already. We have what you would class as accidental landlords, and we have professional landlords. We've had landlords who come to us where they are managing their own properties already, but are really worried currently with the current economic climate. There's no getting away from it. Absolutely. You know, arrears are a constant question. You have got the issue with unemployment on the rise. So it's tenants that have even been good tenants for the past couple of years. It's the what if scenario, and landlords are really looking to shore up that cash flow. So it's not really a case of who's it good and not good for. It's a case of a landlord has to look at themselves and look at their cash flow and say, do I want this guaranteed, and do I want all the hassle taken away from me? Now, we at Rent on Time can do that for them.
Okay. And what do you charge for that service? Okay,
the charge is 6% plus VAT of the rent, and there is a administration fee on new tenancies only of £100 plus VAT. Okay. Now, we don't charge anything for tenancy renewals. That's a special deal we've got through Property Tribes, and we don't actually charge for tenancy transfers. As I said, if a landlord wants to come to us and they've got properties which are mid-tenancy, they can move them over to Rent on Time as well. The only stipulation there is that the tenant hasn't been in arrears within the last 3 months, but they can move them over to the Rent on Time service mid-tenancy as well, and we won't charge for that either.
Okay, brilliant. Now, clearly people are going to have questions about your service, so obviously you're very happy for them to phone you, email you. We'll put all the contact details on the thread for you, but also you're going to be monitoring this thread, so if anybody's got any questions, they can post on this thread and you will be on hand to answer them.
That'd be fantastic.
And just want to remind everybody that we do have a special Property Tribes offer for the Tenant Find service, that if you take the Tenant Find service, which is normally £100, and then go on to the Rent on Time service, Paul will refund you £50.
That's correct, yeah.
Of the Tenant Find service. I got that right. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Paul.
No problem.
I think it's come along at a good time. I think Rent on Time, because as you said, I think people are worried about cash flow. More tenants are going into arrears. This to me is peace of mind, and even if you want to just put a few of your properties on there, it could just help manage your cash flow. I think the other thing I just quickly wanted to say was, if there are landlords out there with more than 15 properties, Paul would be very happy for you to contact him direct and just speak to him about your individual situation.
Super. Yeah.
All right, nice talking to you,
Thank
Paul.
you, Vanessa.
That's Paul Pearce, the Business Development Manager from Rent on Time, and you can find all the contact details and phone numbers and everything below the video. Thanks very much for watching Property Tribes TV.